Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're talking about Necromunda and the issues it has. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. So I want to start off by saying that I am super excited for Hive Secundus. I absolutely can't wait for the new box game, even though it was kind of misrepresented the new way to play, as it does seem much more like it's going to be two gangs facing off in Secundus, not the sort of dungeon crawl the Games Workshop made it out to be. Using those specific words with the articles that have come out, it definitely looks like it's going to be one faction playing the Vansar and then the other faction playing as the genestealer cult, which is definitely not what I picture when I hear dungeon crawl. But that being said, I'm super excited for Secundus. I've been waiting on the revival of the Spire Hunters for years. They're one of my favorite gangs from back in the day. The new models look awesome. The new terrain from Secundus and the expansion sets looks awesome. And overall, I'm interested to see where Necromunda goes. But that being said, there's definitely some flaws with the game and the existing range, so I want to talk a little bit about that in this video. And I know that people get a little bit triggered when I criticize Games Workshop, but the truth is, I'm just trying to be honest with you guys and give you my full-on experience and my opinions on what Games Workshop does great, and then of course, what Games Workshop is not doing so great. So that being said, if we jump over to the Games Workshop page for Necromunda, I think a lot of the problem with this game, and I've expressed it many times in the past, is just the pure amount of bloat in Necromunda. The edition's been going on for quite some time now. We had the previous starter set, the Necromunda Hive War. We've also had some expansions that came along the way before Hive War and then also afterwards, with the addition of vehicles in the Ashways. And now we have Secundus coming out, which is basically like a standalone expansion set as well. It did initially look like Hive War was going to be going away, but that hasn't been confirmed. And honestly, I think it's better off if Games Workshop would leave that as a set, because the Hive War set comes with two gangs, everything you need to play, and then some really nice terrain. And the Secundus set also comes with everything you need to play, but the terrain is substantially worse. So if they continue to offer both those boxes, the people that are interested in the terrain can pick up Hive War and get the full Necromunda experience, as where the people that are interested in the new gangs and the new style in Secundus can go that route. And a lot of people will already have Hive War or may end up picking up both, like myself. So that being said, if we check out the Necromunda range, there's 206 items currently available, and quite a few of those are like single characters. Now, the majority of Necromunda is played with like your regular gangs, of which there are quite a few to choose from. And then there's also like expansion gangs as well that include like some heavier support or like more specialized fighters. And that's pretty cool. I'm definitely a big fan of that. I think the main issue is when you start getting into like the bloat that comes from Forge World. And as we'll see as we get towards the bottom of the range, currently Games Workshop has a lot of the Necromunda stuff out of stock. Now, it's definitely good because it means that it's popular. People are buying the stuff. At least the majority of the time, that's how it could be interpreted. But the truth is, I don't think that's specifically the case with Necromunda. I think a lot of the problem with Necromunda is that so many of like the individual models or character packs are coming from Forge World, and Forge World just isn't able to keep up. Games Workshop doesn't like to mass produce models and then have them sitting on the shelves. They much prefer to like sell the FOMO, make something brand new, and then sell out completely, so they don't have to keep any of it in their warehouse. They don't have to keep any of their money invested in like the actual stock for the game. And that leads to issues when people are trying to buy like a new gang, pick up a new character or something like that to grow their existing gang. And realistically, I think that's the biggest problem with Necromunda, is just the pure bloat. So as we get down here towards the bottom, we'll start to see that there are a ton of items for Necromunda that are currently sold out, but still available in the range, or at least should be. I went ahead through and I counted up just how many things are sold out from the Necromunda range currently, and there's 40 items of the 200 that are sold out. So that's about 20% of the range is available technically, but not actually available if you go to the store and try to buy them. And that creates a massive issue when you're looking for like these specific like hanger-on characters, expansion packs, or something like that to complete your gang. And one of the things that Games Workshop has always done in the past is just made sure that they didn't have too much bloat in their like ranges or in their games. And for whatever reason with Necromunda, that's just not the case. They've went years without putting out a new edition, so now there's tons and tons of books and cards and other materials that are just not available or only available from digital download. And it makes it very difficult for new players that are interested in getting into Necromunda to actually get what they want or get what they need without going to like the resale market to pick up like the cards and stuff like that that are discontinued, no longer available, or just really hard to find. So I would love to see Games Workshop thin down the actual range of availability, or just up like the actual production of what they create from Forge World, so that when people are getting into the game, when people are getting excited about it, they can actually buy what they want. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. Now, we've seen in the past with Games Workshop's most recent releases, introducing vehicles into like the Necromunda world, there was a ton of excitement behind it initially, and then once the price point came out at over $300 for Necromunda Ash Waste, the game completely flopped. You were able to pick it up on Amazon at less than 50% of MSRP, and if there's one thing that very clearly demonstrates that a product doesn't go well, it's when you got to send it to the liquidators and people can buy it for 50% off. Now, don't get me wrong, I picked up a couple of copies of Ash Waste and I absolutely love the box set. It's loaded with miniatures, it comes with a ton of terrain, and I really like the idea of vehicles in Necromunda, but the fact of the matter is that product did not do well. So some of the changes that I was hoping Games Workshop would implement is like the lower cost starter sets. In this case, the Secundus set is coming out at $180, right around the price of Hive War. They trimmed out a lot of the terrain, so you get a lot less in the actual box set, but you still get like the 2 gangs that you need. You still get all the supplemental stuff that you need. And then we've also seen that they're selling like some nice new terrain that goes along with the actual Dark Uprising stuff and is completely compatible with like the terrain that comes in Hive War. And in my opinion, this is some of the best terrain that Games Workshop has ever produced. So I think by separating out some of the terrain, they're still able to offer the actual game at a reasonable price, a decent entry level at under $200, to where people are still willing to pick it up and give it a try. As where once you get up to that like $300 price point, you pretty much have to be like already committed into the game or know that you're going to enjoy it before you're ready to drop that kind of coin. And I think after putting out 2 big box sets priced around like that $300 price point and them not doing particularly well, it's pretty clear that people just don't want to drop that much money on a starter set with a bunch of terrain. They would much rather buy the terrain separately, invest in the actual game, get the gangs and everything they need to play, and then go from there. And I think it's important that Games Workshop is seeing what's working, what's not working, and then changing accordingly. Because for the last few box sets and about like 5 or 6 years now, I really wanted Necromunda to succeed. It's one of my favorite actual like campaign games. I think it's one of the best campaign settings. The models are super cool, super diverse, and it offers a lot of stuff that the other games Games Workshop produces just don't. I used to play the old edition of Necromunda back in the day, and our local group had the absolute most fun ever playing a campaign through Necromunda for multiple seasons or years. And I would absolutely love for Necromunda to see that kind of revival and people to have that kind of fun like we did back in the day. So hopefully with the launch of Secundus, and perhaps like some changes to what's actually offered in the range, trimming it down a little bit and removing some of the bloat, Games Workshop could do that. I've had lots of people chime in and talk about how they have a great Necromunda campaign going on, a really active and large community of players, and that's awesome. But I think for most people, for their like local meta or gaming group, it's just not the case. And obviously we see that reflected in the popularity of Necromunda, as it is definitely lacking. So let me know what you think down below. Do you think that if Games Workshop trimmed up the game a little bit, refined the actual like offering and the range, or at least produced enough of the stuff from Forge World that people could pick up the stuff they want and it wasn't out of stock for like 3, 6, 9, even 12 months at a time, that would improve the overall experience? You think if they permanently added in like the cards and books to the range so that people could always get a hold of them, even if they were coming into a season or a campaign late, that would help the overall like ability and remove some of the issues that new players have to get into the game? Also, I'd like to hear from you guys. Would you be excited if you had a thriving Necromunda community locally? Do you have a thriving Necromunda community locally? Are you in the middle of an existing campaign? How many active players do you have? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And while I do think it's good that Games Workshop is actually listening to the numbers and modifying their offerings accordingly to give Necromunda the best probability of success with the new Secundus releases for the actual main game, and then also the expansion packs for terrain, the addition of the Spire Hunters, I'm just not sure that they've addressed the actual issues that stop people from playing Necromunda, like trimming down the overall range and offerings, or at least making the things that they do sell more readily available. As always, like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. So while I am picking up Hive Secundus myself and the expansion terrain packs, I definitely plan on picking up the Spire Hunters. I was really looking forward to Hive Secundus being an action like Dungeon Delver type game, which it does appear like from Games Workshop's more recent articles, that's just not going to be the case. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more of the same. And once it comes in, we'll do a full unboxing and review. I'll definitely let you guys know what I think of the actual models, the game and terrain when I do my unboxing videos over on Tabletop Bros. But it definitely looks like just more of the same from Games Workshop for Necromunda. And I think the actual Secundus launch box is going to be better than the $300 box sets like Ash Waste performed. I'm just not sure we're going to see a Necromunda revival until Games Workshop makes some of the actual changes we discussed in this video. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.